The stars stretched endlessly across the black void of space. Somewhere in that darkness, a small cargo ship called the Morning Star moved quietly through neutral territory. It was not a warship. It was not fast. It was just an old freight vessel carrying goods from Earth to a distant colony. Captain Park stood on the bridge, watching the stars through the main window. He was a tall man with hair at his temples and calm eyes that had seen many things. 20 years ago, he served in the Korean Space Navy. Now he commanded a civilian ship with a crew of 7. It was supposed to be a peaceful job, but knew that peace in space was always temporary. "Captain," said from her station. She was the tactical officer, a woman in her 30s with sharp eyes and a sharper mind. "I am detecting something strange on long-range sensors." Turned to look at her. "What kind of strange?" "A ship very far away. It has been following us for the past 6 hours." Pulled up the data on her screen. "It is staying at the edge of our sensor range, like it does not want us to see it clearly." Felt a cold feeling in his stomach. He had seen this behavior before. During the war, enemy ships would follow from a distance before attacking. They called it stalking. "Can you identify the ship?" he asked. Worked her controls for a moment, then her face became serious. "It is a hunting vessel." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone knew about They were one of the oldest species in the galaxy, tall creatures with skin and 4 eyes. They saw themselves as the ultimate hunters. For thousands of years they had tracked, captured, and enslaved other species. They did it for profit. They did it for sport. They believed it was their right as the superior race. Humans had only been in space for 200 years. They were just another young species to hunt. The chief engineer looked up from his console. He was a large man with messy hair and oil stains on his uniform. "Out here, we are in neutral space. They cannot legally attack us." "They do not care about laws," said quietly. "They care about prey." Took a deep breath. He walked slowly to his captain's chair and sat down. His mind was already working on the problem. The Morning Star was not built for combat. They had basic shields and one small defensive weapon. Against a hunting vessel, they would last maybe 5 minutes in a direct fight, but had no intention of fighting directly. He said to the young woman at the navigation console, "Continue our current course. Do not change speed. Do not change direction." Looked confused. "Sir, should we not try to run?" "No," said. "If we run, they will know that we have seen them. Right now they think we are blind and stupid. Let them keep thinking that." On the ship, Commander watched the human vessel on his screen. He was tall even for his species, with dark skin and golden eyes that gleamed with hunger. In his long career, he had captured over 300 ships and taken thousands of slaves. He had never failed a hunt. "The humans suspect nothing," said his second officer. "They continue on their path like frightened animals." Made a sound that was like laughter. "Humans, such a young species. They have been in space for barely 2 centuries and they think they can travel through our hunting ground safely." He leaned back in his command chair. "They will learn. They will all learn." "When do we strike?" asked. "Patience," said. "We will follow them for another day. Let them feel safe. Let them relax. Then when they are sleeping, we will disable their engines and board their ship." His 4 eyes narrowed with pleasure. "Human slaves sell very well in the outer markets. Their endurance is remarkable." Back on the Morning Star, called a meeting in the small conference room. All 7 crew members gathered around the table. Their faces showed fear but also trust. They trusted their captain. "We are being hunted," said simply. "A ship is following us. They plan to capture us and sell us as slaves." The communications officer spoke quietly. "Can we call for help?" "We are 3 days from the nearest human station," replied. "Help will not arrive in time. We must handle this ourselves." "How?" asked Shin, the cargo specialist. "We are a freight ship. They are hunters." Looked at each of his crew members. He saw fear in their eyes, yes, But he also saw something else, something that had kept humans alive for millions of years on a dangerous planet called Earth. He saw the will to survive. Humans were never the fastest animals on Earth, he said slowly. We were never the strongest. We did not have claws or fangs or armor, but we survived. We became the dominant species on our planet. Do you know why? The crew waited in silence. Because we learned to think, continued. We learned to plan. We learned to turn our weaknesses into strengths. He smiled, and there was something dangerous in that smile. They think they are hunting prey. They are wrong. They are about to learn what happens when you hunt humans. Leaned forward. What is the plan, Captain? Looked at the star map on the wall. We let them follow us. We let them think they are in control. And while they are watching us, we prepare a trap. By the time they realize what is happening, the hunters will become the hunted. The crew exchanged glances. Slowly, fear was replaced by determination. They were humans. They did not surrender. They did not give up. They fought back. And they had no idea what was coming. For the next 12 hours, the morning star continued on its path as if nothing was wrong. The crew ate their meals, did their work, and pretended to be ordinary cargo haulers. But behind closed doors, they were preparing for war. Captain stood in the engine room with. The chief engineer had opened several panels and was working on the ship's power systems. Wires and cables hung everywhere like metal vines. "Can you do it?" asked. Wiped sweat from his forehead. "It is not easy, Captain. You are asking me to make our engines lie, to make our ship look like something it is not." "Can you do it?" repeated. Grinned. It was the smile of a man who loved impossible challenges. "Give me 6 hours. I will make this old ship dance." While worked on the engines, sat at her communications station with headphones covering her ears. She was listening to transmissions. The aliens believed their communications were secure, encrypted beyond human understanding. They were wrong, had spent years studying alien languages and codes. To her, their encryption was like a children's puzzle. "Captain," she said when returned to the bridge, "I have intercepted their plans." "Tell me." "They will attack in approximately 18 hours. They plan to disable our engines with a focused beam, then board us through the cargo bay." His voice was steady, but her hands were shaking slightly. "They have already decided prices. Adult humans sell for 20,000 credits. Children sell for more." His jaw tightened. "They will not take anyone from this ship. Not today, not ever." He turned to at the navigation console. The young pilot was studying star charts with intense concentration. She was only 25 years old, the youngest member of the crew. But she could fly a ship through an asteroid field blindfolded. "I need you to plot a course to the Crimson Nebula." Looked up in surprise. "The Crimson Nebula, Captain, that region is dangerous. The gases interfere with sensors. Ships have gotten lost in there." "Exactly," said. "Their sensors are very advanced. Ours are old and simple. In that nebula, their technology becomes a weakness. They will be blind, but we will still see." Understood immediately. A smile spread across her face. "I will find the perfect path, Captain." Approached next. She had been running tactical simulations on her console. "Captain, I have an idea. If we can convince them that there are multiple ships, they might hesitate. They might make mistakes." "How do we create ships that do not exist?" Pointed to the cargo bay on the ship's diagram. "We have emergency beacon pods in storage, 20 of them. If can modify them to emit different energy signatures, we can release them as we travel. Each one will look like a separate vessel on their sensors." Nodded slowly. "Ghost ships make them chase shadows." "Yes," said. "By the time they realize the truth, we will be deep in the nebula." The plan was complex, but every crew member had a role. IM, the medical officer, prepared the sick bay for possible injuries. She also made sure everyone had emergency supplies in case they needed to split up. Shin reorganized the cargo bay. hiding their most valuable equipment and creating barricades in case of boarding. 6 hours later, called to the engine room. The chief engineer looked exhausted but triumphant. "It is done," he said. "I can now change our engine signature at will. We can look like a cargo ship, a passenger vessel, or even a small warship. Our heat signature can multiply or disappear completely." Put a hand on shoulder. "Excellent work." "There is more," said. "I have prepared an electromagnetic pulse. It is not strong enough to destroy their ship, but it can disable their secondary systems. Weapons, sensors, communications. It will only work once and we need to be close, but it might give us an advantage." On the ship, Commander was becoming impatient. He paced the bridge of the Silent Fang, his 4 eyes fixed on the human vessel in the distance. "They move so slowly," he complained, "like cattle walking to slaughter." Watched his commander with growing concern. Something felt wrong to him. The humans were too calm, too predictable. In his experience, prey always showed signs of fear. They changed course. They increased speed. They sent distress signals. But this ship just continued forward as if they were taking a pleasant journey. "Commander," said carefully, "perhaps we should consider that this is a trap." Turned to him with anger in his eyes. "A trap? From humans? They are primitive creatures. They barely understand hyperspace travel. What could they possibly do against the Silent Fang?" "I do not know," admitted, "but something feels wrong." Dismissed the concern with a wave of his long-fingered hand. "You worry too much. Humans are no different from any other prey we have hunted. They are weak, they are afraid, and they will submit. Tomorrow we will take them. Their screams will echo through our ship as we chain them for the slave markets." But even as spoke these words, the Morning Star was changing course. Slowly, carefully, guided the ship toward the Crimson Nebula. Behind them, the first ghost beacon was released into space, its modified systems making it look like a second cargo vessel. On the Silent Fang, a sensor officer frowned at his screen. "Commander, I am detecting an anomaly. There appear to be 2 human ships now." Leaned over the officer's shoulder. "That is impossible. There was only one." "I am certain, Commander. 2 distinct signatures, moving in slightly different directions." Felt a cold sensation run through his body. Something was very wrong indeed. Back on the Morning Star, Captain watched the stars through the main window. In a few hours they would reach the nebula. The hunt would enter its final phase. But it would not end the way they expected. "How are you feeling?" asked, standing beside him. Considered the question. On Earth, millions of years ago, humans were hunted by lions, wolves, and bears. We should have gone extinct, but we survived because we refused to be prey. We learned to fight back. We learned to hunt the hunters. He turned to look at his crew, working together in perfect coordination. Every person knew their role. Every person trusted the others with their life. "They have forgotten something important," continued. "The most dangerous prey in the universe is the prey that fights back." The Crimson Nebula stretched across space like a giant red wound in the darkness. Clouds of gas and dust swirled in slow, endless patterns. Stars hidden within the nebula glowed like distant fires. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Captain watched as the Morning Star entered the nebula's outer edge. Immediately, the colors outside the window changed. Red and orange light filled the bridge, casting strange shadows on the walls. "We are inside," reported. "The nebula gases are beginning to affect external sensors." "Good," said. "Take us deeper." Behind them, the Silent Fang followed. Commander stared at his sensor screens with growing frustration. The picture was becoming unclear. The human ship kept fading in and out, appearing in different locations, multiplying and disappearing. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Why can I not see them clearly?" His sensor officer worked frantically. "The nebula, Commander. The gases are interfering with our equipment. Our sensors are too sensitive. They are picking up false readings everywhere." Then filter them out. I am trying, Commander, but the more I filter, the less I can see. Stepped forward. Commander, we should leave this nebula. We are flying blind. This is not safe. Spun to face his second officer. His 4 eyes burned with anger. Leave. We have followed this prey for 2 days. I will not give up now because of some gas clouds. He pointed at the main screen. They are in there, hiding like frightened animals. We will find them and we will take them. Wanted to argue, but he knew it was useless. Was consumed by the hunt. He could not accept the possibility of failure. Increase speed, ordered. Follow their last known heading. The Silent Fang pushed deeper into the nebula. On the Morning Star smiled at her console. They are following, Captain. They entered the nebula exactly where we wanted them. Nodded. The trap was closing. How are our sensors? Working perfectly, replied. Our old systems are actually better in this environment. Their advanced sensors see too much. Ours see just enough. It was ironic, thought. They had spent millions of credits on the most advanced technology in the galaxy, and now that technology was betraying them. Meanwhile, the Morning Star's simple, outdated equipment worked exactly as designed. Release the remaining ghost beacons, ordered. Let us give them something to chase. Shin activated the cargo bay controls. 15 modified beacons flew out into the nebula, each one emitting a unique energy signature. To the sensors, it would look like a small fleet of ships suddenly appeared from nowhere. On the Silent Fang, alarms began to sound. Commander, the sensor officer shouted, I am detecting multiple vessels. 15 no, 18 contacts. They are surrounding us. Stared at the screen in disbelief. Where there had been 1 ship, there were now almost 20. They appeared on all sides, moving through the red clouds like ghosts. Impossible, he whispered. 1 ship cannot become many. For the first time in his long career, Commander felt something he had never felt before, fear. He was no longer the hunter. He was surrounded by unknown enemies in a place where he could not see. It must be a trick, said, but his voice was shaking. Sensor ghosts, false readings. Which ones are real? Demanded. Tell me which ones are real. No one could answer. Captain studied the tactical display. The ship was now deep in the nebula, confused and disoriented. It was time for the next phase. Bring us around behind them, slowly, no sudden movements. The young pilot's hands moved smoothly over her controls. The Morning Star began a wide arc through the nebula clouds. Their old sensors tracked the enemy ship clearly, while the enemy saw only ghosts and shadows. Said through the internal communicator, prepare the electromagnetic pulse. We will have 1 chance. Ready when you are, Captain, replied. I am. The medical officer stood near the captain's chair. Her face was pale but determined. What happens if this does not work? Met her eyes. Then we fight a different way, but it will work. Trust the plan. The Morning Star slipped through the red clouds like a ghost. The ship grew larger on their screens. Closer and closer they crept, approaching from the enemy's blind spot. 1,000 meters, announced quietly. 800, 600. Hold position, ordered. They were now directly beneath the Silent Fang, hidden in the sensor shadow created by the nebula gases. On the bridge, the crew was in chaos. Sensor ghosts appeared and disappeared. Systems gave conflicting readings. Commander shouted orders that no one could follow. Find them, he screamed. Find the real ship. Stared at his own console. Then he froze. Commander, the sensor shadow below us, something is there. Before could respond, the Morning Star attacked. Now commanded. A wave of electromagnetic energy shot from the Morning Star's hull. It struck the Silent Fang directly, passing through its shields like they were not there. The pulse was not designed to destroy. It was designed to disable. On the ship, half the systems died instantly. Lights flickered. Weapons went offline. Secondary sensors and communications became silent. The silent Fang was crippled. The crew of the Morning Star watched as the mighty hunter drifted helplessly in the red clouds. Direct hit, reported. Their weapons are offline, their communications are down, they are blind and silent. Stood from his chair, his heart was pounding but his voice was calm. Open a channel, let us introduce ourselves. The view screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of the silent Fang. Commander stood among his panicked crew, his 4 eyes wide with shock and disbelief. Commander said, "My name is Park. I am the captain of the Morning Star. You have been hunting us for 2 days. I wanted to thank you personally." His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. "You thought we were prey," continued. "You thought we would be easy to capture. You thought wrong." He leaned forward slightly. "Humans are not prey, Commander. We never were, and now you understand why." The fear in his eyes was unmistakable. The greatest hunter in the sector had become the hunted. The bridge of the silent Fang was dark. Emergency lights cast red shadows on the walls. Half the crew stations were dead. The mighty warship drifted helplessly in the crimson clouds of the nebula. Commander stood frozen, staring at the human captain on his damaged view screen. This was impossible. This could not be happening. He was the greatest hunter of his generation. He had captured 300 ships. He had never failed. "How?" he finally managed to say. "How did you do this?" Captain's face remained calm on the screen. "You underestimated us, Commander. You saw a small cargo ship with an old design and you assumed we were weak. That was your mistake." Felt his hands shaking. Around him, his crew looked at each other with fear in their eyes. They had never seen their commander like this. They had never felt what it meant to be prey. "Your weapons are disabled," continued. "Your communications are dead. You cannot call for help. You cannot fight back. Right now, I could destroy your ship with 1 torpedo. Your entire crew would die in the cold darkness of space. Stepped forward, you would murder us in cold blood." "No," said, "I am not like you. I do not hunt beings for sport. I do not sell people as slaves. I am giving you something you never give your victims, a choice." Found his voice again. It was weak and broken, but it was still defiant. "What choice?" "Surrender, power down your remaining weapons. Allow us to escort you to the Galactic Council station. Face justice for your crimes." Paused. "Or continue to fight and die." The commander's mind raced. His pride screamed at him to refuse, to fight, to die as a warrior rather than surrender to primitive humans. But when he looked at his crew, he saw the truth in their eyes. They wanted to live. They did not want to die for his pride. Before could answer, spoke from her station. "Captain, I am detecting a probe. It is a Galactic Council observer. It has been recording everything." Nodded. The Galactic Council sent observer probes throughout the galaxy to record events and maintain law. Everything that happened here would be seen by the entire galactic community. "Good," said. "Let them watch. Let everyone see what happens when you hunt humans." On the silent Fang, a young officer named stared at his damaged console. He had been with Commander for only 1 year. He had believed everything the Commander taught him. That were the supreme hunters. That other species existed to be conquered. That strength was the only thing that mattered. But now he was looking at a different truth. The humans had beaten them not with strength but with intelligence. They had used tricks and deception. They had turned the hunters into the hunted. And they had done it with a ship that was smaller, older, and weaker than the silent Fang. Commander said quietly, "We should surrender." Turned to the young officer with fury in his eyes. "You would have me bow to these primitives." "They are not primitive," replied. "Look at what they did to us. Look at how they planned. Look at how they worked together." He gestured at the dark bridge. "They knew exactly what they were doing, every step, every move. We were never hunting them. They were hunting us." The truth of these words hung in the air. On the Morning Star was monitoring the ship. "Captain, I am detecting a power buildup in their primary weapon. It is coming back online." rushed to check his readings. The electromagnetic pulse was not permanent. Their systems are rebooting. Made a quick decision. Move us to position Delta. Prepare defensive measures. The Morning Star shifted smoothly, always staying in the ship's blind spot. They moved like a shadow, always one step ahead. Their weapon is charging, reported. They are trying to target us. On the silent Fang watched his weapons officer struggle with the controls. Fire, fire at them. I cannot get a lock, Commander. They keep moving. They are always behind us. The Morning Star circled the larger ship like a wolf circling wounded prey. Every time the silent Fang tried to turn, the humans were already moving to a new position. Every time they tried to aim, the target was gone. Spoke to his crew calmly. They want to fight, show them why that is a mistake. Targeted the silent Fang's weapon system with precision, firing. A single shot from the Morning Star's small defensive gun struck exactly where intended. The primary weapon exploded in a shower of sparks. It was not destroyed, but it was badly damaged. It would not fire again. Fell back into his command chair. His face showed complete defeat. The hunt was over. He had lost. Commander said, "We must surrender. Our crew will die if we continue." For a long moment did not speak. He thought about his reputation, his pride, his legacy. He thought about all the beings he had captured and sold as slaves. He had never considered how they felt. He had never imagined being in their position. Now he knew. Now he understood fear. "Signal our surrender," he finally said. His voice was empty. On the Morning Star looked up from her console. "Captain, they are surrendering. All weapons powering down. They are requesting terms." The crew of the Morning Star did not cheer. They were too tired, too focused. But there were small smiles on their faces. They had done the impossible. I am the medical officer, let out a long breath. "I cannot believe it worked." "It worked because we worked together," said. "Every person on this ship played their part perfectly. We won because we trusted each other." He looked at his crew with pride. They were not soldiers. They were cargo haulers, engineers, pilots, and doctors. But when danger came, they became something more. They became humans. And humans, as the galaxy was learning, were not easy prey. "Open a channel to the Galactic Council Observer," ordered. "Tell them we require escort for a prisoner vessel, and tell them to inform the galactic community. The hunters have been captured by their prey." The Observer probe recorded everything. Soon, the entire galaxy would know what happened in the Crimson Nebula. The story would spread from station to station, planet to planet. The story of how humans defeated the greatest hunters in the sector. The predators of the galaxy had received a warning. Humans fight back. 3 weeks later, the Morning Star arrived at the Galactic Council Station. It was a massive structure floating in neutral space, a meeting place for representatives from hundreds of different species. Ships of all sizes and shapes surrounded it like metal fish around a reef. Behind the Morning Star, the silent Fang followed in disgrace. Council security ships escorted the once proud hunter vessel. Its weapons were disabled. Its crew was in custody. Commander would face trial for attempted piracy, enslavement, and violation of neutral space treaties. Captain stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the station grow larger through the window. His crew stood with him. They were tired, but they were proud. They had done something remarkable. Captain said, "We are receiving a communication from the Council. Ambassador O wants to speak with you." A moment later, the ambassador's face appeared on the view screen. He was a distinguished man in his 60s, wearing the formal uniform of Earth's diplomatic service, but his face showed a warm smile. "Captain," the ambassador said, "on behalf of Earth and all human colonies, I want to thank you. What you and your crew accomplished has changed everything." Bowed his head slightly. "We were just trying to survive, Ambassador." "You did much more than survive. The recording from the Council Observer has been seen by billions of beings across the galaxy. Species that once thought humans were easy targets are now reconsidering. They themselves have requested new negotiations regarding their hunting practices. The young pilot looked surprised. They are changing because of us. Ambassador nodded. Fear is a powerful motivator. For thousands of years, other species feared the. Now, they are learning what it means to be afraid. They understand that humans will not be victims, and they understand that other species are watching. When the Morning Star docked at the station, the crew was treated like heroes. Reporters from dozens of species wanted to interview them. Officials wanted to shake their hands. Even members of traditionally hostile species looked at them with new respect. Was offered a high position in Earth's Strategic Defense Command. She accepted, but not before making a promise to Captain. I will return to the Morning Star, she said. This is my home. These are my people, but right now I can help protect other human ships. I can make sure what happened to us happens to other hunters. Understood. Go, do what you must. We will be here when you return. Received commendations for his engineering work. The electromagnetic pulse he created was studied by military engineers across human space. His improvised solutions became standard training for cargo ship crews. Maybe I will write a book, joked. How to build weapons from garbage. It will be a bestseller. Young was offered command of an exploration vessel, one of the new ships designed to travel beyond known space. She was hesitant at first, unsure if she was ready for such responsibility. You flew circles around a warship in a nebula, I.M. reminded her. I think you are ready for anything. Smiled and accepted the offer. Was recruited by intelligence services who wanted to learn her techniques for breaking alien communications. Shin was offered positions at 3 different cargo companies, all eager to have a crew member who had proven herself under pressure. But despite all the offers and opportunities, the crew of the Morning Star did not separate immediately. They took a few days together on the station, eating meals, sharing stories, and enjoying their survival. We should have died, said during one dinner. By all logic, we should be in chains on some slave market now, but we are here, eating expensive food and being treated like celebrities. We survived because we are human, said simply. It is what we do. The trial of Commander was broadcast throughout the galaxy. He was found guilty of multiple crimes and sentenced to spend the rest of his life in a council prison. His hunting days were over forever. More importantly, his defeat sent a message to other would-be slavers. Humans were not to be touched. Ambassador used the incident to negotiate new treaties. Human ships received additional protections in neutral space. Species that had previously ignored human complaints now took them seriously. The balance of power in the galaxy shifted, just slightly, in humanity's favor. Before the crew finally separated to their new assignments, Captain gathered them one last time in the Morning Star's small conference room. I want to thank each of you, he said. When I told you my plan, you did not question it. You did not panic. You trusted me and you trusted each other. That trust is why we are alive. What will you do now, Captain? Asked. Smiled. The same thing I have always done. I will fly my ship. I will carry cargo. I will travel the stars. He looked around at his crew, his friends, his family. The Morning Star still needs a captain, and space is full of wonders to see. 1 month later, the Morning Star departed from a human colony with a new load of cargo. Some of the old crew were gone, replaced by new faces, but Captain stood on the bridge, just as he always did, watching the stars. Captain, the new communications officer reported, I am detecting a ship following us at long range. Looked at the sensor data. It was not a ship. It was a different species, one known for piracy in this region. They have not learned yet, he said quietly. The new crew members looked nervous, but the old crew members, those who remained, just smiled. They knew what was coming. who had decided to stay after all, turned to the younger officers. On Earth, there is an old saying, "Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it." Captain sat in his chair and began to plan. The predators of the galaxy had heard the story of the Crimson Nebula, but some had not believed it. Some still thought humans were weak. They would learn, they would all learn. Because in a galaxy full of hunters and predators, one species had discovered an ancient truth. The most dangerous prey is the prey that remembers, the prey that plans, the prey that hunts back. Humanity had survived ice ages, plagues, and wars. They had crawled out of caves and reached the stars. They had faced extinction 100 times and always found a way forward. The galaxy was vast and filled with dangers, but humanity was ready. "Let them come," thought as his ship moved forward into the darkness. "Let them all come. We will be waiting."